So in this video, we're going to look at the first fundamental rule of differential calculus, and that's the power rule. The power rule states, any real differentiable function given in the form f of x is equal to x to the nth power, its first derivative, f prime of x, can be given by n times x to the n minus 1. So we'll go through a few examples in this video, and hopefully by the end you'll have a pretty good understanding of how to apply the power rule. So in the previous section, we used first principles to calculate the first derivatives of 2x, 5x squared, 2x cubed plus 7, and the square root of x. So in this video, we'll use the power rule to calculate these first derivatives instead. So starting with f of x equals 2x, which is the same thing as 2x to the first power. So therefore, its first derivative, using the power rule, where in this case n is equal to 1, it's going to be 2 times 1 times x to the n minus 1, so 1 minus 1, which is equal to 2 times 1 is 2, and anything to the 0th power is just equal to 1. This is 2 times 1, this is 2. In our second example, we have f of x is equal to 5x squared. So in this example, n is equal to 2. So therefore, f prime of x is equal to 5 times 2, x to the 2 minus 1. Therefore, the first derivative, f prime of x, with respect to x, is equal to 10x, which is the exact same answer that we found in the first principles video, except instead of using 5 or 6 lines of algebra, we've been able to calculate it very quickly using the power rule. So our next example, f of x is equal to 2x cubed plus 7. The first derivative of x is equal to, if we split this into two parts, we have 2x cubed here. The first derivative of 2x cubed is going to be 3 times 2, which is 6, x to the 3 minus 1, which is x squared. So very simply, we have 6x squared. And then the second part, the 7, is exactly the same as writing 7x to the 0. So in this case, n is equal to 0, so 0 times 7 is going to completely remove this. So this is going to be 0. And the same is true of every constant as well. So any number that isn't multiplied by x, its first derivative is always going to be 0. And our final example, f of x is equal to the square root of x. This is the same as writing x to the 1/2 power. So in this case, our n value is going to be equal to 1/2. Exactly the same rule applies. So therefore, our first derivative, f prime of x with respect to x, is equal to n, so it's 1/2, times x to the 1/2 minus 1, which is exactly the same thing as 1/2 times x to the minus 1/2. And anything to the negative power is the same as writing 1 over that same thing to its positive power. So this is the same thing as 1 over 2 square roots of x, which is exactly what we got when we did it by first principles. So hopefully this video has helped you to further understand the power rule. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask in the comment box below. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. So in the next video, we're going to look at the sum rule and what that means. See you there.